Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I am Priyanka Chaudhary. Today I want to share with you my journey of learning English from knowing nothing to becoming fluent. I believe watching this video will inspire and motivate you in your own language learning endeavors. So without any further ado, let's begin. Firstly, I would like to tell you that I was born in a Hindi speaking middle class family where I could listen to people around me speaking Hindi. Means my parents, friends, these neighbors or everybody around me was speaking Hindi. So I was listening to people speaking my native language only, and this is how I am fluent speaking my native language. Besides this, I was sent to a Hindi medium government school where I studied in Hindi medium from 1st to 10th. So I was taught and I was instructed by my teachers in Hindi only. So there as well, I did not have any English speaking environment around me. I studied all my subjects like maths, science and SST in Hindi. There was an English subject where the English teacher would come and explain the English lessons in Hindi, and we were only told to perform well in our English exams, and for this purpose we were taught how to write letters, how to write reports, speech, all right, whatever was there in the grammar section that was significant from the examination point of view, or the grammar was the most complicated thing for me to understand in the class or in the school. I mean, we know this very well that how English is actually taught in schools, right? So it was the very I would say difficult part for me to understand English grammar, but I would say that I was a sincere, disciplined and very passionate student, and I was passionate about learning English language. So I did not give up learning. I put in my efforts learning English grammar and understanding this myself. So whenever I used to get back to home, I tried understanding grammar by myself. There were a few things that were not making sense to me and it was difficult for me to understand, even though I had to score well in my English exams. So I put in my efforts to understand this and I could understand a bit. And if I talk about my spoken English, so spoken English was I did not give a lot of stress on speaking English, because that was not actually my requirement. My requirement was only to perform well in exam, and there was no one who was speaking in English in my class. Even the teachers used to speak in Hindi, so speaking English was not in that much trend. So during my school time, I tried to expand my vocabulary. Whenever I used to read my English lessons, I made sure that I would know the meaning of the words, because that was really important to comprehend the text. So I used to find out the meaning. I had dictionary with me. Dictionary was from English to Hindi because I could understand Hindi only. So I was using that dictionary and I used to read each and every line and mark the difficult words and try to find out the meaning of those words. And I was in the habit of writing the meaning of the word in the chapter just there above the word, so that whenever I will read the lesson again, I will get to know the meaning of that sentence. So this is how I tried to comprehend the lesson and the text. So that was taking a lot of time and energy as well. I did not have that time Android phone with me that had internet connection. So I had to search the meaning of the word in the dictionary, and you know this very well that how much time taking it is. But I was ready to do that because, as I said, I was passionate about learning English. So this is how I tried to understand the meaning of the textbooks. Besides this, I was in the habit of mugging up the answers, especially in English, because I could not make sentences by my own. I did not have that much knowledge about sentence formation, and that was not taught in the classrooms. What we were taught, only we were taught the lessons, the summary, the grammar. We were not taught that how the sentences are actually framed, how can you write the answers on your own. We were never taught in this way. The thinking ability, that was not at all developed during my school days till 10th standard. So that was very difficult for me actually. But I knew that learning English is really important, and it is going to help me a lot in my future, in my career ahead. After 10th, there was a decision making point in my life, in everybody's life after completing 10th. So I had to make decision between three options were there. Like I could choose science or commerce or arts. So there were these three options before me. Because I was good at maths and English, I was interested in these two subjects. So I opted for commerce with maths. And you know what? Then I decided that I'm going to study now in English medium. I'm not going to study my commerce subjects in Hindi anymore. So that was a decision that was really scary and drastic decision. I would say very strong decision for me. And I knew this really very well, that how difficult it was me to understand the English lessons in my 9th and 10th, right? Even though I opted for English medium to study in my 11th and 12th standard. That was the biggest challenge that I accepted, because I knew this very well, that if I will study again through Hindi medium, this is not at all going to benefit me in future. So I went for it. And this is the thing, that is really important. I mean, coming out of your comfort zone. Earlier till 10th, I was enjoying my comfort zone, learning the subjects in Hindi medium, through Hindi medium. Later on, I knew this, that understanding the text now in English medium is gonna be really challenging and difficult for me, but I accepted it. Because if I want to grow my knowledge, if I want to learn this language, I have to read the subjects in English. And so I went for it. And when I started attending my classes in 11th standard, there were all the subjects before me, like there was economics, business studies, and then maths, then accounts. These all were the new subjects to me that I never ever learned before, that I never ever studied before. These were the completely new subjects introduced to me in 11th standard. And though, I mean, these subjects were also in English. Now, earlier till 10th, there was only one subject that was in English, and now in 11th, all the subjects were there in English medium. How difficult it was for me to understand all the texts, like accounts, maths, economics, business in English. I know that how challenging it was for me to understand these textbooks. But I did not give up. And there is the benefit that I got choosing English medium is that I was studying in a government school again, but the instructions when I went to 11th and 12th, the teachers used to give the instructions, used to explain the lessons in English. So that was the, I would say, benefit, that I could listen to teachers speaking English now. And then I started understanding a little bit. And let me tell you one more thing, that during school days, we were not given a lot of, we were not taught how to pronounce the words properly. Pronunciation was not given that much importance that time. So, and as I said, that I did not have that Android phone and internet connection that I could, from where I could know the right pronunciation of the words. So I was in the habit of listening to the teachers speaking the words, and I started copying the teachers, that however they used to pronounce the words, I used to pronounce in the same way. And because of this, I started later on, when I got to know the right pronunciation of the words after completing 12th, when I had Android phone, when I started listening to a lot of English videos, I started watching English movies, a lot more other things. I'll explain it a little later. Then I got to know that I was actually mispronouncing a lot of words. Seriously. I mean, nobody told me that this word, this is not pronounced as develop. The right pronunciation of this word is develop. I used to pronounce this word as tortoise. Later on, I got to know that this word is actually pronounced as tortoise. So I got to know the right pronunciation of a lot of words by myself, by watching a lot of English movies, English songs, and I started looking for the right pronunciation of the words on Google. So this is how I taught myself a lot of things that were very new to me, and this is how I developed my learning skills. Well, so after completing 12th with I completed my 12th with very good marks, I would say, and I scored around 80 in English. Later on, I appeared in my exam in the month of March, and then I was expecting my result in the month of, I guess, May. So end of May or maybe mid of May. There were a gap of around 1.5 months where I was completely free. Then what I did in these months where I was free, I started reading English newspapers. And then when I picked up the newspaper, I could find a lot of very difficult, tricky words there that were not making sense to me. And I started reading, any random topic. That was the mistake that I made. Now I realize it. I was reading about crime scenes, I was reading about politics, and these were not my areas of interest then. Alright, so again, I was finding the meaning of all these difficult words and tried to understand the meaning of the news which was printed on the newspaper. And this is how I practiced. I thought of utilizing these free time period doing something. Later on, my father decided to send me to learn English language, as he found that my daughter is interested in learning English. So he got me enrolled in an English language program. Means he sent me basically to learn English language. All right. So he got me enrolled in English language program. That was offline mode of learning actually. There I took English lessons, I think for about 12 weeks. That was for 4 weeks and 12 days. All right. So I took English classes for only 12 days. All right. That was I guess that decision of sending me to learn a language, English language, was a great decision by my father. Seriously, I really thank him today that he sent me to such an environment where I found people around me speaking English for the first time. So that was brilliant. So I went to an English institute where spoken English was taught, and there was strictly told to not to use your native language. I could speak only English, whether it was broken English or anything, but I had to explain everything in English. Initially when I went there, I was asked to attempt a test, all right, just to figure it out my level, what was my existing level. So I was asked to attempt a test where there were some questions from grammar, and I was asked to write a descriptive essay on a topic. So I did that. After completing the test, after writing all the answers and that descriptive essay, I was told that I got selected for my English level, and that was 2A. So they made me sit with the people who were also at the same level. So the people around me, there were around 10 English language learning enthusiasts, including me, who were from different cultures and background. So that was again a plus point, because if you are sitting, you are interacting with the people around you who cannot speak your native language, then you do not have any other option than speaking in your target language. So this was the good thing that happened with me, that I had to speak in English only, because the people around me who were there in my batch could not understand my native language and I could not understand their native language. So we all were having the same target of learning English language if we wanted to communicate with each other. And so there we had classes for, I guess, 1.5 hours, where we were given break for 15 minutes, where we could sit together, we could go to cafeteria, we could communicate with each other, and that too was in English. And when we used to come back to the session, to the class, we were taught English not through books and not through, I would say, the screens. We were taught English in a very I would say realistic manner. We were made to speak in English a lot by doing different activities, right? They used to give us a lot of I would say papers, where instructions used to written there on the papers. We were supposed to follow these instructions. There were some pictures on the papers where we were asked to speak more about the pictures. There were a lot more other activities that made us speak in English. So this all happened just for 12 days. This entire English language course was a bit expensive, but it was worth it. I learned a lot of things there. The pronunciation of the words, some new vocabularies, and the confidence level, which was very low before. And this was the first time when I came in contact with the English speakers. That was superb, because it is really important talking to people, right? This is the only thing that can make you learn English better, make you speak English better. So this was the first time for me that I could interact with people speaking English. I was really nervous before in my first session, first class. I was nervous. I had a lot of anxiety. I was sort of uncomfortable, but the trainers there helped me a lot. Not only me, all the other people who were there learning English. So I could gain a little bit confidence, and I learned vocabulary, few English phrases. I started speaking English, I would say, for the first time. Before joining this English language course, I was not practicing to speak at all. But here, they actually provided me and the other English learners as well the opportunities to speak. So that is really important, that if you want to learn something, you want to speak English, you want to practice speaking English, for that you have to speak. So I started speaking on different topics, and I started talking to people. Whenever I had to ask some question to English trainer and I didn't know that how to ask this, what is the word, right? How can I explain myself? How can I ask and resolve my problem that I was facing learning English to my trainer? She strictly told me to not to use your native language. I could use my hand gestures, my face expressions, or anything, but not speak your native language. So this is how I tried a lot to explain to her, and it was not easy. It was very difficult, that I was not able to express myself well, but I gave it a try and I could do it. I could make it. I could make her understand after a lot of efforts. And she was also really patient. She used to listen to all the English learners with patience, and she used to help her a lot. Now, after completing these 12 days classes there, I could feel a little bit confidence in me. And then if I wanted to continue the course, I had to pay again, right, for the next level. And this is how there were around, I think, so many levels were there. The highest advanced English level was C2. So I did not continue. I left it then and there. So as I told you that it was really expensive, so I could not pay again and again. Then I left it, and I got my result in the month of May. I was really amazed to see my results. That was amazing. I was happy with my results. Then was the time to take admission in college. Again, there was a time to take decision that which course I would like to go for taking admission in college. So as I told you that now I started gaining a lot of interest learning English, I went for English honors. I took English honors as an undergraduate course, and I studied English honors in Dayal Singh, that is in Delhi. So I took admission in Dayal Singh College. There I studied my undergraduate course, that is English honors. Again, I deliberately put myself in a situation where I could learn more about English. So there, when I started taking classes in my college, I could see I got more exposure to learn English, to speak English. So as I was an English honors student, all the students who were there in my class, they were speaking English, and the lecturers who were speaking English, they were all the time speaking English. They were not at all used to speak Hindi anymore. So again, I could listen to people speaking English now, and this is how I started getting that English learning environment around me, where I could listen to lecturers, listen to my friends speaking English. So that again benefited me a lot. So in English honors, I had to study novels, stories, and plays. So these were the subjects that I had. Again, there were a lot of difficult and tough words that were not making sense to me, but I put in my efforts again to understand the meaning. I used to be very attentive in my class while lecturers used to explain. I could not understand everything that they used to speak, but I could understand a lot than before. I mean, if my understanding level was 40% during my school days, now when I went to college, my understanding level raised till 70% now. So 70% was making sense to me. Later, I practiced a lot at home. I started practicing to speak English, because as I left that English learning course before, I started losing my confidence. I started losing my fluency. The way I used to talk before during that English learning course, as I stopped doing it, I stopped practicing it, I gradually went back to my previous track. All right. And so in order to get back on my track, I started practicing at home. I started giving myself different topics to speak, right? And I started even practicing to speak some English sentences that I could use in my English classes in my college, that I could practice speaking with my lecturers. So I practiced really too much, as I was a really dedicated and passionate towards learning English. So, and one more thing that I tried, I used to ask myself different questions, and then I used to answer these for practicing. And then I tried for mirror talk. Mirror talk also helped me a lot to practice speaking English on my own. So this is how somehow I raised my English level and understanding as well. Sometimes I started listening to English music on TV. I started even watching English movies on TV and with subtitles, and it started making sense to me. I got more interested in watching English cartoons. So I watched Barbie cartoons. I even watched Harry Potter a lot. I was a big fan of Harry Potter since my school days. So I watched this movie, I think many times, and n number of times I watched this movie. So I started watching these things in English. I was very interested in listening to English songs. I got interest listening to English songs because one of my college friend, her name is actually Neera, and she used to listen a lot of English songs. So I also got this habit from her. I started listening to English songs and I started singing as well. I started loving it actually. So I used to sing a lot at my home while traveling. I used to sing English songs. I used to get the lyrics and then I started singing. I really became fond of listening to English music. After graduation, I decided to pursue my career in the same field and I did my post graduation in English. There as well, I studied a lot more plays, novels, and stories. I got to know about English playwrights, their lifestyle, and what was their culture and background. Reading, actually, I have been an intensive reader since my childhood days, and reading helped me a lot improving my vocabulary, improving my writing skills, and it also helped me understanding English grammar. Seriously, when you read any textbook, you get to know that how the grammar is actually used in sentence formation. You can easily understand it. And when you read, you can see that how the sentences are written, how the feelings are expressed, right? And then you can analyze and understand that this is how you can also write. So I started improving my English writing skills as well. So as I told you that I have been learning English for a long time. Since my school days, even after school, I kept myself engaged with learning this language. And there was a time when I started even teaching English to students. I started providing tuitions just to polish my skills, just to be on the track of learning the same language. Because you should never ever think that now you are fluent at it and you do not need to polish your skills anymore. It is important to keep updating yourself, or to keep learning, because once you stop learning, you stop growing. So that's what I understood, and I thought that now when you are done with your post graduation and everything, you should do something. I started teaching first. I started teaching English to students and clearing their doubts. So this is how, and I was speaking in English with my students, so I could talk to them. I was having English conversation with them, and by doing this I was practicing at the same time. This is how I kept myself engaged in learning this language. That's what you can also do. Always try to surround yourself learning this language. After some point of time, I decided to work. So I went for a job interview, and that too I applied for the job of an English language trainer, or you can say English facilitator, at an NGO. So I started working with an NGO as an English facilitator, and for getting this job I prepared a lot to crack the job interview. I practiced too much standing in front of mirror. I practiced answering the questions. I practiced introduction many times, and I cleared the interview just in one go. So and I started working as an English facilitator, where I used to teach English to the children or to the people who would come there to learn English. So by doing this, I started talking to them in English. I started clearing their doubts, and I used to incorporate all the learnings of mine there in the class. And then I started engaging these students, doing certain activities where they could speak English more. I made them speak on different topics, and I also conducted a lot of group discussion where children could participate and in debates and discussions as well. So this is how I started teaching, and I started helping English language learners to learn this language. I was just loving my job, and I was doing what I always wanted to do. I wanted to be in touch with learning English, and that's what I was doing. So I was really glad and I enjoyed to do that work. So I worked as an English language trainer for around 4 to 5 years. After that, I had to stop working because of some reasons. I could not continue working, and then when I got pregnant and after having a baby, I got so much engaged with my baby and raising my baby that I just stopped working. And then at some point I realized that all my learnings, all my knowledge is going waste, and that I definitely did not want. So then my brother suggested me, why don't you share your experience and learnings, and why don't you teach online? Why don't you spread your knowledge with all the people who actually want to learn English with the help of YouTube? Then I just really liked his idea, and I started teaching on YouTube. I thought that fine, if I cannot work outside, I can help the English language learning people with the help of YouTube. So then I started making videos and helping all those people like you who want to learn English by giving some tips, techniques, strategies, and I keep providing some English conversation as well. And I keep sharing my knowledge with you so that it can help you and motivate you in your own language learning journey. So that's all about me, and this is how I am today, teaching you all how to speak English in a very easy, smoother way that can make you fluent as well. So that's it for today's video. I believed you found this video really inspiring and motivating as well, and now you will not at all think to give up learning this language. And if I can do this, you can definitely do it. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining me till the end. I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.